Just waiting for some people to jump in and we'll get started. But the news out of Florida just about an hour ago is that the remains found in the Carlton Wildlife Reserve in the Sarasota Tampa area are indeed confirmed to be Brian Landry. Laundrie, excuse me. So thus ends a search that has spanned at least 2 months. We still don't know what happened with Gabby. We still don't know what happened. We do know that she was found in the Teton National Monument in Jackson, Wyoming, back in September. We do know that the cause of death was strangulation. We know that her boyfriend returned home last of August, 1st of September without her, and that he disappeared from his home after a 3-day camping trip on September 13th or 14th, and has set off a search spanning 1 month. And today that has concluded with his remains being found at the Carlton Wildlife Reserve. Hey, Vicky. Hey, Jim. So again, Brian Laundrie confirmed dead. And thus ends the search, but not the mystery as to what happened to Gabby. And the sad fact is we may never know, outside of the fact that her young life was taken and Brian's young life was taken, and that these two families are going through an immense amount of hell. This may remain a unsolved mystery as to exactly what happened. I don't want to speculate, but being that he is gone, I'm going to. Yes, it has been confirmed. I saw it about an hour ago on Fox News, and I have read about 4 articles confirming the same thing. About an hour ago, it was confirmed. And forgive me, I am not sure how to pronounce your channel name. I am sure I will mess it up. So I'll call you Friv. But yes, it was confirmed about an hour ago. Yes, it is sad and tragic. And I promise you that I'm not becoming one of those impromptu stream channels where I just pop up. This hit me, so I am just going to go live instead of trying to film a video and get it out to you. This way I can at least talk to you. Yes, Vicky, it is very sad and tragic. Hey, Julie, how are you? Hey, maybe Sunshine. Hey, PLM. Prev, I would ask you to actually tell me how to pronounce it, but that would probably require you spelling it out again, and we all know how I do with that. So I'm glad you don't mind. So again, Brian Laundrie, dead. Confirmed by dental records. The remains were partially submerged underwater. I would imagine it just now, went down so that they could actually pull the remains. Yesterday they found not only the remains, but a notebook and a blue backpack that belonged to him. And so now goes the speculation, everyone, because that's all we have is speculation, other than the facts as we know it, that this young couple started out on a van life excursion back in July, starting with her brother's graduation in New York, aiming to meet at Oregon by Halloween. And part of their journey was highlighted on their Nomadic Static YouTube channel and Instagram as well. Both of them's Instagram as well as I believe a combined Instagram. There were several issues with along the way, down to the point that it ended in August in Moab, Utah, with a domestic occurrence that was ruled a, what can you say, ruled a mental health flare up incident. And Brian Laundrie was actually put into a hotel. She was allowed to go into, remain in the van overnight. They reunited briefly. Brian Laundrie supposedly went back home to deal with some. Hey, Felicia. Thank you so much, Cynthia. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'll donate anything that is given to me today to the Gabby Petito nonprofit to help domestic violence victims. So I will do that. Anything that is donated today will go directly there. So he actually returned home to deal with the storage unit issue, even though his father couldn't hire somebody to do that. And she stayed in a hotel. Her father ordered Uber Eats for her, and then they reunited and continued on their way. Him returning home 1st of September without her, and sparking off a 2-month man and woman hunt, as it were. And maybe they haven't really said the cause of death. I mean, it may not have been suicide. Somebody could have found him that was really ticked off and ended it. I mean, goodness knows this case has gotten a lot of coverage, a lot of people with a lot of opinions. So that could very well be the case. I don't want to venture that, but I'm guessing it probably was by his own hand. That is just my theory. I could be very, very wrong, but I'm just guessing. Many of you had already called it. I'm one of the fools out here screaming he's out of the country, sitting on a beach, and many of you had already come to me saying, "Oh no, he's no longer on this earth." So you guys and girls were absolutely right about that. I was really hoping he was alive. I don't like to. Hey, Felicia, don't like to see a young life end, but I also kind of wanted to know what happened, and we may never know what happened. But here's my theory. Would you like to hear my theory? All right. Well, my theory is they had a long relationship full of toxicity. They weren't good for each other. They got on each other's nerves. These things boiled over while they were living together, but yet they still decided van life they might be able to make a go of it and have a career on social media. Nothing wrong with that. They started out on this van trip. They got all over each other's nerves. It all culminated in the event in Moab, outside the commune there. I always say Mayflower, but it's not Mayflower. Anyway, it all culminated there in Moab with the police call. They broke up at that time. I believe that after he was put into a hotel, Moonflower, outside the Moonflower Co-op, I believe they broke up at that time. And when he came back from the hotel and they reunited that next day, I believe they called it quits. I believe it was him that called it quits. And that is when he left to go back to Florida to deal with the storage situation. And I believe it was a situation where he was trying to get her stuff separated from his so that he could give it back to her when she returned home, or when they returned home. I believe they probably had some phone conversations or some other conversations that have not been released yet, tried to make it work, or either he decided to go back either because they were going to try to reconcile, or she was begging him, because if you rewatch the Moab body cam footage and you see her begging the police officer there at the end not to put him in a hotel because she couldn't be alone, I believe she was scared. She didn't know what to do. And so she wanted him back to be there to get her home. They came back. They made an attempt to reconcile. They decided to move on to their next destination. They got to the Teton National Park, and it boiled over. Something boiled over. Either it was jealousy, Vicky, possibly, where he was upset that she was becoming more social media positive than he was, or he was just jealous in general, or they just got on each other's nerves to the point it boiled over. An argument ensued, a fight ensued. He strangled her to death. He panicked and he took off trying to get out. That's when he probably encountered the two TikTokers to drive him out of there, but just then decided not to. Got spooked when they said, uh, that they would take him. He got spooked. He took off. He went back. He grabbed the van. He drove it home and then went on the lam. Sherry, let's see. She was scared he would leave her, and that's why she took the van. He took the hotel. That may very well be Sherry. I'm not saying that didn't happen. I just know that listening to the body cam footage, she was begging the police officers not to separate them because she was scared to be alone. So I don't know, how it was decided that she would, who would be in the van and who would be in the hotel. But in any case, she was saying she didn't want to be alone. Now, maybe he threatened her and made her say that. Who knows? There's a lot of discrepancy. I believe blows were thrown on both sides. I believe he choked her. He got out of there. He went home. Now, whether or not his parents knew where he was, I think they knew where he started from. And I think probably he was communicating to them via the lawyer. I believe because there is attorney-client privilege, and the lawyer was not under any legal obligation, as long as another crime was being committed, to tell the police where he was. And probably they were being very careful, and he was not telling the police, the lawyer, exactly where he was, but that he was alive. I believe they probably had burner phones. And the lawyer was telling his parents that he was still alive. And then probably all communication ceased. The parents panicked. So as soon as the wildlife at the Carlton Refuge was reopened, they went to search on that trail where he had been before, and that's when they found the notebook and the backpack, and then the remains were found after that. That is my theory. I figure doesn't really matter what my theory is now. We may never know, but that is probably all we're going to hear going forward is theories or hypotheses, whatever you want to call it. So that is my theory. And I'd be interested to hear all of yours. I do think he killed her. Absolutely, I think he killed her. I think they were toxic people that should never have been together, but that happens all the time. I think there was probably a lot of emotional and verbal abuse in both sides, and probably physical abuse, and then it boiled over at the Grand Teton National Park, and someone died. And then he went and ended his own life at the Carlton Reserve because he, can I just say this, not man enough to face what he did. I'm not shaming people that commit suicide for different reasons. I'm shaming him. I want that known. So please don't think that I'm shaming anyone that has committed suicide. I'm just shaming him because he did not want to face the consequences of what he had done. Let's see here. Fact: the Moab Hotel was paid for by victims' advocates. Gabby was not allowed there because the police. Absolutely, yes, that was in the body cam video. I just know that they, she was obviously saying that she didn't want to be separated from him. Now, that could have been because he was pressuring her so that he wouldn't look like a bad guy. Possibly. I mean, he seems to be kind of a manipulator. She shaped him, and that made her the aggressor, which led him to getting the hotel from the police. If he was the aggressor, it would have been the other way around, and too bad it came to this at all. Absolutely. So I do think there was physical blows on both sides in the Moab incident. Absolutely. Don't put your hands on people unless they give you permission. That's kindergarten. Kindergarten people. Hey, Gypsy, how are you? And yes, maybe I don't think there was any punches. There was just slaps. Let's see what Nash has to say here. I dislike people protesting his parents' house and his death scene. FBI confirmed the parents told them of this location, but it was underwater. They surely didn't want their son to be dead. Absolutely. The people that are out there protesting in front of the Laundrie's house, you need to go get a life and go home. There is no need for you to stand outside grieving parents and do that. Even if they committed a crime by aiding and abetting, that is for law enforcement to handle, not you. Give them the respect and let them mourn their son and go home. Absolutely. I know it kind of sounds very hypocritical of me to say that, as that I am a true crimer and I like to talk about true crime. But I don't know if you've noticed, I rarely cover breaking crime. Most 95% of what I cover is either history or crimes that have long since been solved and somebody punished. That's the reason I stay away from crime, just because I don't want to, you know, push forward this issue where people protest and somebody can't get a fair trial, that kind of thing. I never want that to happen. But this case has just been one where you couldn't help but comment on it because it was all over the place. If you notice, even the Murdoch case in South Carolina, that's kind of died down a little bit. That's going to be interesting when it does flare back up. And of course, the Daybell case, that's like an onion that just keeps peeling back the layers. But I don't like to really comment on breaking crime. And I've kind of become a de facto expert on the Daybell case, not because I wanted to, just because I was just so enthralled with the psychology behind it. And let's see what my good buddy Dreams of Horses said here. Gabby said she hit Brian. Brian had scratches on him. When Gabby tried to get the phone back for both Brian and Gret, police wanted to separate them. They could have arrested Gabby, but didn't. And I almost wish, Dreams, that they had arrested her. Because if they had arrested her, hopefully she would have used her phone call to call her parents, and they would have bailed her out and got her home. And then none of this, back to New York, none of this would have happened. I so wish that they had arrested her at that point. He was a coward. He couldn't I agree with you. He himself was a coward. Protesters make me sick. No need to try to profit off of a tragedy. I completely agree. I wonder if his parents had done what a lot of us, the right thing. He'd still, yep, I agree. I wish his parents had turned him in. As hard as that would have been, I wish they had turned him in. And then he would have been alive. And I wish the police had arrested Gabby and Moab, and maybe they would have both still been alive. But I did listen to I listened again to the body cam footage, and the one of the police officers, the one that sat in the car calling his supervisor to see if there was any need to separate him, he said like twice he was slapped by a little girl, barely a scratch on him. So he was downplaying what happened, in my opinion. So I don't know. I just wish, instead of downplaying it based on whether it was a girl or a boy that did the hitting, and they had just applied the law equally and taken her in. Because I guarantee you, if Brian had been the one to hit her and had been the aggressor, they would have taken him in. And I wish they had applied the law equally here and taken her in, and then they would have both still been alive. Let's see. Have you studied the Amity? I have studied the Amityville murders. That's coming up first week of November. Yeah, they are. That the real life murder that happened in that house is much more interesting than any of the ghost stories. So I'm going to do part the real life murder and then part a deep dive on the two Vatican ghost hunter or demonologists that inspired. Amityville, The Conjuring, Annabelle, all that good stuff. I love all those movies, but I want to deep dive into the truth of that rather than just, giving into Hollywood hype. But yes, Cherry, thank you. Look for that. Yes, anybody that abuses anybody, Vicky, is a coward. I totally do that. Not making an excuse, but there were reports that he was on lithium and heard voices, and she told the police they both had anxiety and OCD. I don't know about. I don't like to speculate on the mental health of people, but absolutely, she did say that. I'm like Dr. Grande on that. I'm not diagnosing, merely commenting. So I certainly don't want to diagnose people, but if that is true, then that could also have played into what happened. Absolutely. A gypsy, I'm believing it because they did confirm it with dental records, which are 99.9% accurate. I mean, the way this case is developing, it could develop to be a problem, but the dental records are usually pretty accurate. Yeah, and from shame, he left answers for her family in the notebook. Yeah, I mean, it could possibly not just be him being a coward, but being shame. Absolutely. Maybe I spoke too much. I kind of let my emotions get the best of me sometimes. But I do wonder what was written in that notebook. I really do. Cindy, I absolutely do find it shifty that his parents knew exactly where he was, which shown that they were keeping tabs on him, probably through the lawyer. But I don't know what's going to happen to his parents. I mean, they may file charges on them later on, but I don't think this investigation is nowhere near over. Nowhere near over. It's going to go on for years to come. It's going to be one of those cases that never quite goes away, like the OJ Simpson trial. It's just going to be there in the zeitgeist of our lives, so to speak. A lot of great theories in here today. I like it. I like it. So I just wanted to bring you the breaking news, everyone. Um, Not much else to report except they have confirmed that Brian Laundrie is no longer with us and closes one chapter of this uh closes one chapter of this saga. Uh I see you, Cindy Sue. Please no more B. I'm not sure what BL stands for, if that's reference to me. I'm happy to accommodate if I can, but I'm not sure what that means. If you could let me know. But for the most part, like I said, it's going to uh, be a long time before we know what happens, if we ever know what happens. Watch Charlotte Greenleaf, and I really enjoyed them after finding them. Please include more recommendations. Oh, maybe. Well, then you're in luck. Um, I will. It will be out next Thursday and next Friday. But me and Jim Hall from Atheist Edge, the same gentleman that did the Logan's Run and Soylent Green with me, we are each doing our top 25 horror films. So there will be possibly 50 recommendations there. Uh, Possibly less because we might double up, but for the most part, you're going to see hopefully 50 horror movie recommendations. Oh, okay. Brian Laundrie, I agree. I would prefer not to hear his name anymore, too, if at all possible. First creator to call a live on this for me. I feel sort of. Yep, I do too. Absolutely. BLM. Absolutely. Jennifer, they do not know that, or they have not released it. I can't say that they don't know, but they've not released anything about cause of death. I'm only speculating it was probably suicide Then again, it could also been a vigilante. Who knows? But for the most part, they haven't released any other information. Yeah, Flame Lily, absolutely. I wish they had turned him in. Uh, Heather here, did he kill himself or was he taken over by the wild? Now that's possible too. That's another theory. I mean, my gut tells me self-inflicted, but you never know. You know, it is Florida. There are gators. Probably lots of other creepy crawlies in there we don't want to know about. So I'm kind of piggybacking on what Maybe Sunshine says. What is your favorite genre of horror movie? Uh, do you like the found footage like Blair Witch Project? Do you like zombies? Do you like slashers like Jason, Freddy Krueger? Or do you like more of the what I call the bougie uh, horror like Poltergeist, Amityville, The Conjuring? Because I have a whole plethora of those on my list. They don't know yet or not. Yeah, definitely they'll have to be an autopsy. I don't know how, if the remains have been underwater and it's been in a state of decomposition, then a lot of it is kind of gone. You know, the if you have if a body is exposed to elements, it decomposes a lot faster. So I don't know how much is left. They have not released pictures, and I don't want to see them when they do. So if they do, so I don't know what they can actually tell from what was there, but hopefully they'll be able to at least tell us, ascertain the cause of death, if nothing else. Let's see. I don't think it was suicide because I mean that's possible too. That's definitely possible too. I don't think of that. But, yep. I mean, this is a messed up situation for sure. Hey, Vicky, in my I will tell you that in my list there are no Alfred Hitchcock. I know I'm a huge Hitchcock fan. I know I did Alfred Hitchcock last year, but I don't put. Hey, Dream Horses, thank you so much for joining, and thank you, maybe. I I did not put any Alfred Hitchcock on the list because for me those are I consider psychological thrillers just that, psychological thrillers. They're not really, in my opinion, true horror. Uh, they fall into that broad category, but they're not really what I would consider true horror. They're just a category on their own, psychological thriller, and I consider Hitchcock that. Even The Birds and Psycho, those are more psychological than anything. And so I didn't put any Hitchcock on this list for that reason because a lot of it would have been Hitchcock if I did. So since I did a dedicated Alfred Hitchcock last year, and I'll link it in this description if you want to go check that out, I decided to leave Alfred Hitchcock alone this year. There's a lot of cult movies on there, movies about cults. So if you're interested in that, and a lot of good old fashioned slashers. I am a huge fan of Freddy Krueger. I'll put that out there right now. So slashers, yep, I love slashers too. Um, have a hard time coming up with my favorite slasher villain, but it's a close tie between Freddy and Jason. Michael Myers is good too, but there's just something about Freddy and Jason that speaks to me. I'll tell you a secret. I still, when I'm in the bathroom after a shower and the whole bathroom is like steamy, and I'm like wiping the steam off the mirror, I still have that nightmare of like in I think it was part one where Freddy appears behind her in the steamy mirror. I still kind of look thinking that it's he's going to appear behind me. I've had that fear since I was maybe 13. I enjoyed your version of the Blair Witch Project you did last year. It was better than Well, thank you, Flame Lily. I really appreciate that. I really do. I've got a similar thing going on this year, but with zombies. So I hope you like it. Uh, but if I had to pick, yeah, I mean, I really couldn't pick between Freddy and Jason if I had to. They're I like them for very different reasons. Let's see. Hey, Gypsy, I promise you, I will not. Our descriptions will not be brutal. You'll probably see some movie posters and a little bit of a description, more trivia than anything else. So there will not be any graphic depictions of the movies that we choose. So it is safe for you to view. I promise you. Can I tell you guys a little? I love Chucky. Can I tell you a little secret? My mother-in-law and I actually watched the remake, the 2019 remake of Child's Play, and my mother-in-law was like incredibly freaked out because she's like, that could really happen. AI could really go crazy. She said that is like a different take on like Terminator. That's a different take on Skynet, and ultimately she's probably right. And that Chucky bear, that the bear at the end, that like freaked her out. Hey, Jennifer, don't feel bad about that. There was some scenes in Ghostbusters that were walking the line between comedy and just grotesque horror. So don't feel bad. Um, the ghosts that like came into the bedrooms and started like pulling Dan Aykroyd's pants off, those freaked me out. Those freaked me out. And then the dogs, the that Rick Moranis and Sigourney Weaver turned into at the end, those freaked me out. I had nightmares as a kid about those. There was some, they walked the line with that movie for sure. Nash, oh my God, intruder movies like The Strangers. The Strangers absolutely freaked me out. That is a movie I have only watched once and will probably never watch again, just because home intrusion movies just freak me out. But if you want another good scare with a home intruder movie, check out. Oh my God, I can't even think of it. Don't breathe. Don't breathe. If you want another good home invasion movie. Yeah, Felicia, I agree with you. I think the Warrens are pretty much full of crap, but I do enjoy the movies based on their writings. We're seeing Annabelle, that the first movie, that was an awesome movie. The first Annabelle movie. I have not seen Annabelle Creation or Annabelle Comes Home yet. I'm running behind on the Conjuring franchise, but I kind of want to go back and watch it from the Nun all the way through to, I think, the Conjuring 2 is the last one chronologically. I kind of want to go back and do that. Jinxie, I'll tell you, one of my favorite horror franchises that moved to television was The Purge. I'm an absolute Purge freak. All three Purges. I have not seen The Purge Forever yet, uh, but the TV show I absolutely love. The USA two-season TV show, absolutely love it. And who in here mentioned 70s movies? Because I am a 70s movies aficionado. I love uh, 1970s movie. 1970s movie was the heyday for what I like to call the pre precursor to Hellbilly. Like Rob Zombie movies. I consider his movies a genre on their own, known as Hellbilly. But the 70s movies were kind of the precursor to that, the exploitation horror. I really love them. The Town that Dreaded Sundown, Duel. Duel, Steven Spielberg's one of his very first movies. It was a television movie, but it was just about a psycho uh, psycho truck driver trying to run Dennis Weaver off the road, and it will blow your mind. It's so good. Of course, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out of that, and they had the best animal horror of any. Willard, Ben, Cujo. Y'all gonna laugh at me. Night of the Lepus, y'all. It's about killer rabbits. You heard that right, killer rabbits. Basically, rabbits are running rampant in Texas on these farms, and they try to slow down their breeding, but then a rabbit escapes and ends up throwing the ecological system all off, and then they grow into like rabbits the size of Saint Bernards. And it is the worst special effects I've ever seen in my life. And Janet Leigh was in it. Jamie Lee Curtis's mom, Janet Leigh, was in this, and she said the only reason she took it is they filmed it right in her backyard, and they paid her enough money. She hates even being construed with that movie, but literally, like when a rabbit is about to attack, you see like the face of a regular sized rabbit, and then they protrude this huge tooth. And I'm going to do an impersonation because I have a big enough tooth to do it. But it's like, that's what you see. And it's just a rabbit. And then they put a little bit of blood on it. And then you hear somebody scream. That is literally how and then they end up trying to electrocute the rabbits to death. If you want a good, campy horror film that will make you laugh all the way through it, Night of the Lepus. It's beautiful. Yeah, I love Henry Winkler too. I really do. And Carrie is a classic. Anything Stephen King. Christine, about the haunted car, that is awesome. What was the one about all the aliens that took over the trucks, all the farm machinery that literally that like trapped everybody in the truck stop, and the truck had like the big elf face on it. I can't think of anything. Can't think of the name, but that is awesome. I love MST3K. I love it. I have all of it on Blu-ray, or on DVD rather, not Blu-ray. Yes, original Carrie, and the one they made in, I think it was 2012. It was a television movie, but it was still really good. It really was. Yes, you should check out Night of the Lepus and Maximum Overdrive. Maximum Overdrive. It was the Stephen King truck movie. Um, The Shining is awesome. I love The Shining. And Doctor Sleep, the sequel to The Shining, super awesome. Need to check that out. Yes, Coma is awesome. I thought I was the only person alive that had ever seen that, but that is awesome. Uh, but yes, Night of the Lepus is something you will never forget. All you'll see is rabbits going for the rest of your life. I almost put it on my top 25 list, almost, but I'm like, I can't waste a spot for what is an absolutely horrible movie. I only like it because it is so ridiculous. So if I ever do my top campy movies, it'll definitely be on there. I can't believe no one told them this is a horrible movie, but I think that happened in the 70s a lot. One of my favorite movies is Truck Stop Women. Don't ask, but it's about a group of women of the night that service truck stops. Anyway, that's all I'm gonna say. Again, campy exploitation, 70s action. But oh, hopefully I actually liked that. I actually liked Rose Red. Don't feel bad. I even liked the old Friday the 13th TV series that was on for a little while in the 80s. Had nothing to do with Jason. Nothing. But I liked it. And I'm gonna put out something that will probably make me an absolute freak when it comes to horror fans. I like Halloween 3, Night of the Witch. I think it is very well done. I like the premise because originally John Carpenter was wanting to make Halloween into an anthology series. Yeah, anything beyond the original Psycho, not any good. But the Watership Downs is like one of the most awesome books ever written, and the animated version gave me nightmares for years as a kid. But the but I really enjoyed it. It is had nothing to. I loved Halloween 3. It basically was supposed to be an anthology series, and so they convinced him to do one more sequel with Michael Myers, which is Halloween 2, and he was supposed to actually be dead at the end of that movie. That was the end of his story, and then the rest of it was supposed to be an anthology series. So, but everybody wanted Michael. Halloween 3 bombed, and then they came back with the Jamie Lloyd arc and the Thorn cult arc, and that's where Halloween died. And I have not seen Halloween Kills yet. I'm saving that, I think, for actual Halloween day. Gypsy Blue, even the remake with Anne Hesh and Vince Vaughn, I don't even understand why they remade it because it was shot for shot. I don't understand why you would even remake a movie shot for shot, because the whole purpose of a remake is that you remake it with something extra, but they didn't do it in that case. But we've gotten really off topic. But again, it's nice to kind of shake things up a little bit. So before I go, I want to tell you that tomorrow I have my video on the Candyman killer. There's actually two Candyman killers out there, but this one you'll know. The Candyman killer. And then on Saturday, I have my reaction to the Lori Vallow interrogation the day that Charles died. And I did fix the audio on my reactions. Thank you for whoever told me that it was a little off. And Sunday, I have a little treat. I actually did a reaction to a Halloween safety film from 1985. It'll be a nice little shakeup. And then, of course, the next week, my video on top 25 horror movies. And, of course, my skit will round out Halloween on Halloween. And it also includes a review of the Zombie Apocalypse Survival Guide by Max Brooks. Chris, you make me laugh. You make me laugh. I'm sure if there's a way to attribute it to COVID, they will. Thank you, Vicky. Oh, Squid Game is awesome. I'm only up to episode 5, so no spoilers. But I can't wait to get to the end. Well, George, I'm not really making entertainment out of this. I'm just covering a breaking story. Nothing that I guess you could say that true crime in its essence is for entertainment, which is why I cover usually very uh, old cases. But I'll tell you, anything that I've made off of any current case, especially this one, has been donated to the families GoFundMe's or other charitable donations to help get the word out on cases. I don't just do this for internet fame or anything like that. It's just interesting. I find the psychology of crime and the psychology of people very interesting. I'm not turning this into a joke or anything like that. I mean, we've been talking about horror movies for the last 25 minutes of this stream. All I did in the first is talk about what we had today and my theory on what happened. That's all. So, everyone, thank you so much. I will be back uh, tomorrow with a new video. Until then, thank you so much for joining me. Everything donated, earned off this video will go to the Gabby Petito's fund for domestic victims of domestic violence. And with that being said, until next time, keep doing crime.